Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and I want to thank everybody that's here for attending our Fall 2022 West Brighton Community Forum. These have been important events over the years. We want to, get Town Hall out on the road, give our residents in East and West Brighton the chance to spend some time not only with us as board members, but also with our senior team. We'll have about 15 minutes we'll spend as just as an open house where residents can talk with any of us elected officials as well as with our staff people. After that open house, we're going to have two presentations. The first is from Heritage Christian Services, who is going to make a presentation about a proposed community residential facility at 1240 Crittenden Road. And then we're going to hear from Barton and LaJudas and Everett Garcia from the town with an update on the town's climate action plan. So those two presentations, and then after those are finished, we will take questions. The town board and staff will address questions that haven't been answered already. Before we start that open house, I want to introduce not only our elected officials, but the town staff that is here. Starting to my right, Councilmember Robin Wilt, Councilmember Jason DePonzio, Councilmember Chris Werner, and Councilmember Christine Corrado. In the back of the room, our town clerk, Dan Amon, Deputy Police Chief Mike Desane. Chief Dave Cathaldi is at a conference today, so can't be here. Our Recreation Director, Matt Beeman. The man who wears many hats, I'm sorry, Parks. Did I say Recreation? Parks. Sorry, Becky. Sorry, Matt. Mike Guyon, who is our Commissioner of Public Works, as well as our Highway and Sewer Superintendent. Becky Cotter, the real Director of Recreation. And someone that some of you may not have met, but the newest member of our senior team with the town, Miriam Moore, our Chief Diversity Officer. Miriam has been with us for 6 months and 2 days? So 6 months Miriam has been with us. She leads the town's diversity, equity, and inclusion work. She has been working with our IDEA board, our Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board, on the development and implementation of our IDEA plan, our Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Action Plan. That's the first plan of its type that any town in upstate New York has, and to the best of my knowledge, Miriam is the first Chief Diversity Officer that any town in upstate New York has appointed. So she will be here tonight. If you have questions concerning the town's DEI activities or maybe some ideas on how we can bolster those efforts, Miriam is the person you will want to talk to. So, 15 minutes or so, we'll have the open house, talk to any of the senior staff that are here, talk to the climate action folks, our Heritage Christian folks, but both of them will be making presentations afterwards. So we will come back together, why don't we say at 7:30, and we'll do the two presentations at that point. Okay, we're going to start. We have two presentations that we want folks to hear tonight. The first, as I mentioned, is from Heritage Christian Services, who are proposing a new residential facility at 1240 Crittenden Road. I won't steal all their thunder, but they're proposing that it would house 6 developmentally disabled adults. And they're here to make a presentation, so.
Hi, my name is Dan Stewart, Director of Facilities for Heritage Christian Services. With me is Drew Bielmeyer, Senior Vice President of Residential Operations. So the home that we're looking at 1240 Crittenden Road, some just statistics on it. The house is 3,883 square feet, built in 1961. Currently, it's a 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath on 1.3 acres. Heritage did purchase it in July of 21. So what we would like to do is create this into a 6-bedroom home to serve the needs of individuals for Heritage. So what we would do is just some modifications on both ends of the house, bedroom wings of the house, to create 6 bedrooms, 2.5 accessible bathrooms. So the bathrooms would be larger, have the accessibility of a tub or roll-in shower, enough room so if somebody needed assistance in the bathroom. So there would be some modifications, square footage added to the bathrooms. It would also include an office area, medication room. We will widen some hallways throughout the house and make it more accessible for the needs for long-term for our residents. The parking, we'd like to create up to 8 to 10 cars parking field. That's just to be able to house vehicles for Heritage. Our staffing, which Drew will go ahead and discuss some of that in a second here, also allows the ability for family members to come into the home and not have to park on the street of Crittenden, which is approximately 200 yards away from the house. We would like to see about potentially of putting a loop in the driveway so that vehicles would not have to have backup alarms as they come and go. Some of the features that we will do in the house as enhancements, all staying within a single-family residential building code. We would put a sprinkler system in this house. It'd be a 13D sprinkler system. And what that does will allow our residents more time to evacuate the house if there was a fire or an alarm. They're required to have X number of fire drills per year. This just allows less staffing to be able to have more time for those evacuation routes. It'll also include a whole house fire system, so there'll be pull stations at doors, and if an alarm goes off, everybody will be notified, along with Central Station, a monitoring company for the fire system. Some other improvements, just simple things, on-demand water heaters, which allow us to regulate water temperatures for individuals that may not be able to regulate for themselves. And other improvements, heating systems and what have you, as we go through the system to bring up this 1961 gem up to current standards. So I'll turn it over to Drew. Okay.
I'm going to blow it up and just give you a little bit of context. First of all, thanks for having us tonight. Appreciate you being here. We've been serving people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in the Rochester community since 1984. And what you might typically think of a group home, we have approximately 50 of them in the Rochester area and about 17 in Buffalo. Since we've been building them since 1984, we've had people and we've purchased homes that were older. And now we're realizing as people are aging, the accessibility challenges, what stairs will do to somebody. And our first approach is, hey, can we renovate that current property so the people who form a family can live in their current community on their current property? In all situations, we're not able to do that. So then we're trying to find property that's close enough by to where somebody might currently live so they could move together in a home that's accessible and that they could age. So we're having a campaign called the Homes for Heart campaign. So this home on Crittenden Avenue is one piece of this opportunity to better serve the people we're currently serving. So the long-term use for Crittenden will be for 6 people that we've already been serving for a number of years at a home in Pittsburgh. So we know those individuals very well, and they're just getting a little bit older for the current home that they're in. Short-term, temporarily, if it all works out, what we'd also like to do is we've got a group of individuals on the west side who have some more medical frailties that need to relocate out of their house where their house is going to get relocated. As you can imagine, it's difficult to find hotels or relocation services that can keep that group together and give good services. This is almost a perfect fit. So it would be our intention to first have people come over, and again, people that we've known for years, stay there for a few months, 3 months to 6 months while their home got renovated, move back to their home, and then have 6 people from Pittsford move there long-term. Okay, I want to give you a little bit of a sense that Heritage has been doing this for a long time, so if there's questions and fears, please ask them. Our staff have to go through background checks, and then they are onboarded and they are educated and trained in a particular home like Crittenden where 6 people are living. The staffing ratio would depend on the person's needs. So if an individual is nonverbal and non-ambulatory, they may need some more support than somebody who's a little bit more independent. What we anticipate the needs will be, because they can change, right? Just like our needs can change as we age or other health concerns happen. What we anticipate is we'll have at least 2 staff on at this home when the gentlemen from Pittsford move over, sometimes 3 in the evening, depending on what they might like to do in the community, and have at least 1 staff there on an overnight. So there is typically staff there 24/7, 365. Now, these individuals have families and friends, and they may go with their families and friends or on vacations or home with them at some times as well. We really do aspire to be good neighbors. I mean, it is our goal. As you talk about inclusion, I didn't get a chance to come over because I really wanted to chat with you a little bit, but I wanted to be able to answer questions that other people might have. We know that inclusion takes relationship and trust. So we are attuned to, are there times when our staff may drive into a driveway too fast, when they may play their radio in their car too loud, when maybe we don't get the garbage out there correctly or the wind blows it over? But we want to know about those things, and we work hard to pay attention to those things. We have checks and balances in place so that our neighbors actually appreciate us being there and want to. And our hope is that we'll actually form relationships over time, and the people that we're supporting would become friends to some degree with their neighbors and those in that local community. So, we are an organization that if you're living in that community and you see something that doesn't feel right, if you have any concern or frustration, we will be available to you. You can reach out to us and we will answer your calls and we will talk to you and we will work with you on that. Questions?
So I have 2 questions.
Yes.
I should preface it first by saying that I worked for Heritage for 20 years, and I can vouch for the homes that I was in. They were very good neighbors. They kept the yard up, and it was always an important aspect of the agency. So I think they'd be good neighbors, is what I'm saying. But my question is, when you're doing these changes in the house, is that changing the footprint of the house, or is that all within the present square footage?
Yes, everything that we have proposed is within the existing footprint of the home.
And then the other question is, for those cars, would they be parking behind the house, in front of the house?
One proposal or a sketch that we do have shows them along the west property line up by the garage with the potential of a loop coming in front of the front door is one proposal. Our goal would be to try not to still maintain a living space for the people that will be in that home in the backyard.
Thank you.
Sure.
I don't know if you have a map with you, but obviously we can all look at the address 1240 Crittenden on our phones, and as you mentioned, I think 200 yards or so back, it is a very, very deep lot. So this will be a long ways back off the street.
I do have the survey of the lot. I do have the proposal showing the parking field that we were suggesting, and also have a proposal showing the renovations that we would do within the house if you're interested.
Dan and Drew, you talk about the being a good neighbor and such. What kind of outreach have you done so far with respect to the adjoining properties?
We have been in contact with the gentleman that lives up the road, and when I say we, my guys who have been over there cleaning up the yard and taking care of, making sure that everything's in good shape inside the house, has had contact with the person in the front yard. The house that sits behind us apparently is either listed currently on the market for sale. So they have been in discussion or with the realtor on that house also.
I would also add to that, just honestly speaking, since the house came up and we don't.
Can you speak into the
So
mic?
honestly speaking, we rarely see a house like this that comes up that can meet our needs. So we're really excited to get it. So we actually bought it before we're ready to utilize it, right? So this is now starting the process. So we intend to reach out and answer their questions and start to develop a relationship with them.
And since you mentioned the process, I'll talk at least in general terms. The New York State Mental Hygiene Law lays out a timeline, but B, a set of options that a municipality has in looking at this. We have 40 days as a town board from the date we receive the application for the town board to make a decision. I don't remember the exact date that it came in. It was very late in September, I believe. And the way the calendar works, the town board meeting a week from tonight on October 26th is the last town board meeting that fits within that 40-day cycle. So this project will be on the agenda for next week's town board meeting on October 26th. We really have three options. One is to say, yes, this site works. Two is to say, you know what? We think that in the area or in the town, there are more group homes, more community residential facilities than you know, and that adding an additional one is going to cause some specific problems. And if that's the issue, the onus is on us to suggest some other alternatives. And three, you know, is really a very limited list of reasons to say no. So the state law gives that framework. And so we have a long history of working with, you know, a number of, whether it's state organizations or not-for-profit organizations here in the area with group homes. You heard, you know, the Heritage Christian has many group homes in the area. There are others. I actually happen to live across the street myself from a CP Rochester group home. A very different lot, so I've had some experience with that. But that's the time frame. That's the legal mandate that we are operating under. And so I want to make it clear to everyone, this will be considered at our next board meeting. One question I had that, and Mike Guyon, our Public Works and Sewer Commissioner, have talked about this proposal. It references a private sewer in the actual proposal. And honestly, we weren't sure whether you do have some kind of a private connection to a sewer system or if it's on septic.
No, the house is private sewer, I believe, Mike, it refers to a septic system. It does have a septic system. I do have the county record showing, I don't have it with me tonight, I didn't print it out, I didn't figure you'd want to see that one. But I do have a full report from the county.
I know there's another home at, I believe, at 1310.
That's correct.
And they have run a force main down there.
I'm interested, if you have public sewer there, I would run a force main.
It's a long ways,
Well,
so it's just something we should
Yep.
talk about.
you know, that absolutely is something that would interest us.
My the septic system is probably the size for the house, probably a 5-bedroom.
I would assume yes.
You're gonna put 6, I just,
Right. We would engineer it to the 6-bedroom if needed. You know, we have opportunity, I believe, in the backyard to, and I would think everything would work out well there.
plenty of room.
Yeah. Yes.
So, but if you wanna talk sewers, just give me a call.
Yes. Okay.
There's an invitation.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we'd say long-term sewer has worked better for us, so we realize there's an additional investment on our part, but we would definitely be interested.
Great. Great. Yes?
Just one quick question. I'm just curious. Obviously, this is probably going to be a very long-term thing with you owning the property, but the changes you make, I guess, if someday that type of usage and programs change, you know, things change. The things that you're doing to the house would not really take it away from being, once again, say, for a single-family usage, right? I mean, the hallways are a little wider, might be a very good thing, but you're not doing things that wouldn't just allow the house to go back to.
No, I would say no. I mean, any bathroom can be, yes, it will be a little bit larger. It'll be 8 foot by 8 foot, where a normal bathroom is 5 foot by 6 foot. Hallways might be wider. Sprinkler system could be eliminated. Somebody may, say that's a great attribute to continue with. Same thing with the fire system. It's just an enhancement to an existing residential that most people just don't afford when they build it.
And I'd add to that, I think hopefully you can go around and look at our properties and see that it is important to us that we upkeep them. So we budget out into the future. We have set aside funds to make the changes when they need it, to upgrade the furnaces, the roofs, to keep those homes as a really nice part of the community. And I would agree with Dan. I think hopefully at some point somebody else might come in there and say, wow, look at that accessibility in the bathroom and those type of tubs and that type of, maybe this is not just for us. We're all living longer and all of us may need some different accessibility in our futures.
I know Heritage, the only one the address that pops out at me off the top of my head is 600 Clover Street.
That sits back in.
And I was
Very
going to
similar.
say, in a lot of ways, it is.
Yeah.
It is way back off of Clover Street, sort of opposite Mercy,
Yep.
just south of the Blossom Clover intersection there. I don't remember exactly what other facilities you have in Brighton, but that's the one that I know is a Heritage Christian facility.
Winton Road, 1210, 1208, behind
Oh,
the high
behind
school.
12 Corners Presbyterian
Yes.
Church, yes,
Yeah.
right, that's right. Are both of those houses Heritage Christian or just one of them?
Both of them.
They both are.
And then again, that's a great example of people that were living in the apartments that no longer could, so then we built an accessible home so they could stay in their community right there.
Does anybody else, either on the board or in the audience, have any questions for the Heritage Christian representatives? Again, this will be on the agenda at the board meeting a week from tonight, and I know, at least I anticipate you'll be there again that night and available to address any additional questions at that time.
Absolutely. I'll just note I brought a few different pieces of literature if anybody has an interest. It's an annual report. It's kind of a mid-year report. And then a real brief thing about that Homes for Heart campaign. If you don't want it, don't take it. But if you do, it's there for your taking. Okay?
Great.
Yep.
Thank you both very much. Okay, we will now go to the second presentation, which is an update on the Town of Brighton's Climate Action Plan. Again, we are trying to be very proactive and cutting edge in terms of addressing these issues. So, Everett Garcia.
Thanks, Bill. While Grace gets ready, I'm just going to quickly introduce the project. So my name is Everett Garcia. I'm the town engineer for the town of Brighton. We're here to talk to you a little bit about the town's ongoing efforts in developing a climate action plan. And what this plan will do is help the town in identifying and developing climate adaptation and mitigation strategies based on the town's current carbon footprint and greenhouse gas emissions. With us tonight, we have Grace DeSantis and Andrew Stone from Barton and LaJudas, our consulting group for this project. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Grace.
Hello, thank you for having us here today. Again, my name is Grace DeSantis. I'm a community planner with Barton and LaJudas. And also with me here is Andrew Stone, another community planner as well from Barton and LaJudas. So we've been working with the town for several months now on the climate action plan. So I'm just here today to give a brief overview of what this project entails and how members of the public can get involved. So first of all, I'll introduce who the project team is for the Brighton Climate Action Plan. We'll review the project purpose and schedule, so some of the things that have been accomplished so far and what's upcoming. Then we'll review public input opportunities, and I'll give a live demonstration of our online tools. And then if anyone has questions, I'll be happy to answer those now or afterwards as well. So I first want to mention that this has been a really collaborative process. Like I mentioned, I'm from Barton Judas, the consulting team, but we also have been working with several different stakeholders at the town, including staff and officials like Everett, and also we've been working with the Sustainability Oversight Committee as well. So we've been meeting regularly with the committee throughout this process so that they can give us a lot of local insight and guidance as we continue to move this project forward and engage the public. And we also have engaged the IDEA board as well. They helped us with the development of our community engagement plan, which I can talk about in more detail in a couple minutes. So first of all, what is a climate action plan? First of all, the primary goal of a climate action plan is to define your greenhouse gas reduction goals. So typically, one thing that's developed before a climate action plan is a greenhouse gas inventory. And this is a document that identifies the type and quantities of greenhouse gas emissions, both by town staff and town operations and by the community at large. So having that data on greenhouse gas emissions is used to identify what your reduction goals are for town operations and the community at large. Using those goals, we then identify mitigation strategies. So these are different types of programs or regulations that can be put in place to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And then we prioritize those strategies as well. So which ones do we want to see be achieved in the short term and which ones in the long term? By doing that, we can then establish an implementation framework. So this typically takes the form of a matrix where we're looking at, okay, here's an action item we want to complete. Is this going to be in the next months, years? Who are the partners who we can engage to accomplish this action? Are there funding sources that we can go after to accomplish this? And what's the estimated cost or cost scale that we see this action including? So this project specifically with the town of Brighton has two primary components. The first is to verify and update the data in the existing greenhouse gas inventory. This one was developed in 2016 using baseline emissions data from 2014. It includes emissions data for both the government operations and also the community at large. So the first goal of this project has been to take a look at that data and update it to 2020 figures, so more present day. And then the second component of this project is to finalize the climate action plan. And I have to give credit where credit is due because the Sustainability Oversight Committee already has a draft in place, which is available on the project website if you want to take a look at it. So the second stage of this project is updating and finalizing that climate action plan with the goal to eventually submit it to the New York State Climate Smart Communities program, which is another important thing to mention here. That's a program run by New York State that assists municipalities in adopting regulations and implementing programs that help to improve communities' resilience to climate change. So ultimately, we want both of these documents to be in alignment with that program and be eligible for receiving points once submitted to New York State. So as I mentioned, the Sustainability Oversight Committee already has developed a draft climate action plan, and you can see some of the components on that slide. So again, our goal here is take the verified greenhouse gas inventory data from the 2020 data and also public input, which we have been collecting over the past several months, and update that climate action plan and submit it to New York State. In terms of community engagement, we have engaged in several different outreach strategies. In the very beginning of this process, we developed a community engagement plan, which is also available on the project website. So far, we have completed a virtual public workshop several months ago. And then in the spring, we had a public event at the farmers market. We had an info booth and a climate walkabout session. And then in the end of summer, we had another event at the farmers market as well. We're here with you today, and we have other events scheduled in the future as well. So stay tuned, because we will be back out in the community again, hoping to raise awareness of this project and collect your input. And also, we have several online tools available as well. So if you prefer to provide input online, you can do that. And I'll give a demonstration of those in a few minutes. So I kind of reviewed this a little bit already, but I just wanted to pinpoint where we are in the process for this project. We are about maybe 2/3 of the way done here, maybe 3/4. We've been meeting with the Sustainability Oversight Committee since December of 2021 and getting feedback for the community engagement efforts that we've been completing, and also some of the draft documents that we developed, like the community engagement plan, the project website, which is now live, edits that were recommended to the greenhouse gas inventory and such. So next up on our list will be to develop the draft climate action plan. So stay tuned for that. We'll be having updates on the website and at other events like this as we continue to progress the project. So as I mentioned, community input has been really critical to this project. So we have collected quite a bit of input already, but we still want to hear from you. And you can do that first and foremost by checking in on the project website. It is thetownofbrighton.org/climate-action-plan. We have some project documents up there that you can take a look at. We also have 2 interactive tools, the Ideas Wall and the Brighton Climate app. We have an events calendar up there as well, so you can learn about where we'll be in the community if you want to provide your input for the plan. And we also have some contact information as well. So now I will pull up our online tools just to give you a little overview of how those work. So this is the project website. It is thetownofbrighton.org/climate-action-plan. And if you scroll down, you can see some project information, our timeline. These expand when you click on them. And then if you continue scrolling down, these are our interactive tools. So we have the Brighton Climate app, which is map-based, and we have the Ideas Wall. Events down here and contact information at the bottom. And if you want to find project documents or in general just some information about climate action planning and the Climate Smart Communities program, you can click on these tabs as well. So for now, I will display the Ideas Wall. There's some standard terms and conditions to agree to. As you can see, when we scroll down here, we have quite a few comments on here, but we love to see more, so please stay engaged and come here and leave your comments for the plan. You can choose from any topic category, and when you click on one of these comment cards, it'll flip to the back and you can enter in the required information and your comment. So if you have some sort of strategy that you think the climate action plan should include, for example, regarding land use and open space, you can leave that here. And anyone else who comes to this site will be able to see it, like it or dislike it, or leave a reply comment like they would on a social media site. Just a great way to do some community brainstorming online. The name, zip code, and email are required to leave a comment, but they will not be publicly visible. So don't worry, you can stay anonymous. It's just on the back end for us in case we want to follow up with you. And then the other app we have developed is the Brighton Climate app, and it works very similarly, but it's map-based. So if you have a suggestion that you want to be very location-specific, you can zoom in to a specific location, and you can identify either a climate risk or a climate opportunity, place it at a specific location, and again, fill out the comment card. And this works similarly to the Ideas Wall. It'll be visible to others who come to this site, so you can share your ideas with your community and do some brainstorming activities. So I'll just leave the QR code up there. We have some papers here as well if you're interested in taking a flyer home. We have some draft documents as well and a project notification sign up. But I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Please stay engaged, share this website with your neighbors. The more input we get, the better.
Thank you very much, Grace. Any members of the audience with any questions?
Can you say something about the inventory?
What would you like to hear? About the data?
Sure.
We just received the updated data this morning, I believe. So if you're interested, I have some up here that you can take a look at if you would like. It's not finalized yet, but we just have some overview information. But we'll be taking a look at the updated data, and hopefully finalizing a draft soon.
And speaking to the 2014 data set, transportation is a large, energy or emissions creator, and electricity as well. So those are two bigger sectors. They sort of depend on whether it's community or town operations. So I think those are the biggest sectors that we're going to try to tackle with some of the initiatives in the plan. And the original data set is up on the website.
Yes.
As well.
I do think it's important to note that, as Grace mentioned, an awful lot of work was done by town staff and the SOC in getting to this point, and a portion of the cost of this phase of the project was also grant funded. So it's obviously very helpful and very important when we can get third party. It enables us to leverage the financial resources we have, which is what we've been doing here. Any other audience questions? Questions from members of the board?
I did just want to recognize Aaron Ryan, who is a co-chair of the Sustainability Oversight Committee and who has contributed many, many hours of work towards our climate action plan, especially in draft form, and now has been critical in developing this more final form of the climate action plan. So thank you so much for being here tonight, and thank you for all of your efforts.
Thanks, Robin, for doing that. And yes, thank you, Aaron, so much. Anything else? Terrific. Well, it is a work in progress, but it's very, very important work in progress. So I really appreciate this update. I know you'll be doing it again at the East Brighton Forum in a couple of weeks, and at other events as you've shown on the website. Thank you. Before we get to the final part of the meeting, any questions you have for us? I do want to give a couple of updates, town-related. Obviously, the town board itself has returned to in-person meetings, still on the second and fourth Wednesday of every month. Prior to the pandemic, we live streamed our meetings, and we still do that. There's a link to our YouTube live stream on the webpage. But like everything else in the world since the pandemic, Zoom. And we continue to run our meetings on a hybrid basis using Zoom. And people can engage with us either in the public open forum at the start of the meeting or in public hearings on Zoom. So people don't have to come to the meetings in person, which is, I think, very helpful. Our committees all meet in person monthly, with the exception of the Public Works, Public Safety, and Community Services Committee meetings all meet monthly. The Finance Committee meets twice a month, all in person. All of those meetings are public, and the schedule of those meetings is available online. Community Services actually met today, but that committee meets at Brookside. The others meet in Town Hall. It's fall, and the leaves fall, and we began our leaf pickup work just this past Monday. We have, of course, our maps on the webpage, links there both to our bulk and our containerized leaf pickup operations. Whether you're doing it in bulk or whether you're doing it containerized, the leaves should not be in the street. They should be on your lawn, in the tree lawn. There aren't too many sidewalks in West Brighton, but if you don't have a sidewalk on the lawn adjacent to the street, if you've got, only one or two, the equivalent of one or two garbage cans, please don't do it in bulk. Please containerize. Put it in those cans. We're able to pick containerized debris and leaves up a lot quicker. We have that, what looks like a garbage truck, but that's our packer truck that picks those up. But so not only will we get through faster, we'll get through, of course, the bulk pickup faster because we're not stopping at as many houses for these small pickups. It'll keep your neighborhoods neat. The leaves won't blow around. It will help with drainage issues. The storm drains won't get clogged with leaves if you containerize. But obviously, for a typical yard, most of West Brighton has a lot of trees, so you're going to have a lot of leaves. It's okay to do it in bulk. We expect that. But again, just to be conscious of that, especially not putting it in the street. We do have some fun events coming up. This coming Saturday is our Halloween trunk or treat. Last year we did it drive-through as a COVID measure. This year we're going back to our in-person festivities. 10 o'clock start at Town Hall. We'll have the children's costume parade. We'll have a petting zoo, the dragon from Dragons Love Tacos. Now, if you don't have kids, you may not know dragons love tacos, but they got dragons, they got tacos. It's got to be great, right? Dragon's going to be there. Farmer Bill is going to be there. And you have the opportunity to trick out your car for the trunk or treat, decorate it in Halloween or fall theme, and the kids will be walking through doing the trunk or treat, trick-or-treating. So that starts at 10 to 11:30 this Saturday. A week from Saturday, on October 29th, the Brighton Police Department and the DEA will hold the semi-annual pharmaceutical drive-through take-back event from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the public safety wing side of Town Hall. Again, you'll just drive right through. Folks will be there to pick it up. Ultimately, the pharmaceutical materials that we pick up will be taken to the Niagara Falls area where they are incinerated safely and in compliance with all the environmental regulations. The one caveat, we cannot take sharps, so no needles. Now, there was some TV publicity just a few days ago about some towns no longer having their regular collection bins. But Chief Desane, we still are picking up in the police department lobby. So anytime during normal business hours when the police department is open, basically 9 to 5, but with a little wiggle room on both sides, you can bring in your materials and dispose of them safely in that collection bin there. But again, no sharps. So that's a week from Saturday, October 29th from 10 to 2. If you do have sharps, you can take them to the Eco Park on Paul Road near the airport. Check their hours. They are very specific. So those are the, we will also be observing Veterans Day, very important. Veterans Day on Veterans Day on Friday, November 11th at 2 o'clock at the Brighton Veterans Memorial in Buckland Park on Westfall Road. And we don't always talk about it a lot, but we have, ever since the Veterans Memorial was established, we have an online registry of our veterans. So if you or someone you know living in Brighton is a veteran, we'd love to get their information. Or if you have a family member, they may not live in Brighton, but we want to include them in that online registry so that we will forever be able to honor their service to our country. Any events that I'm missing, anybody that we want to make sure we get? Becky, I see you nodding. What are we missing? Ah, yes, thank you. The Veterans Luncheon, another important event, which is held on Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, each year. That's going to be held, of course, we haven't been able to do it because of COVID, but we're resuming it this year at the Town Park Lodge. And it's an opportunity for any veterans, but in particular for veterans who have struggled. There will be opportunities for winter clothes. The Brighten Your Wardrobe will be there helping provide winter coats and other winter clothes to veterans that need help with that. Gift cards and a great lunch. Maybe not gift cards, but a great lunch. I gotta watch Becky. Becky knows all. But in any event, it's a nice opportunity. They'll get together, have some lunch. Thank you to our sponsors who make it possible. Thank you to the Wagners who really, many years ago, he was a town employee, she worked at the VA, and together they came up with the idea for doing this luncheon every year. It's a beautiful event. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to say thank you to the men and women that served our country, and obviously Pearl Harbor Day is a significant day in our history. Any other questions that any of our audience members have, either for us or for our staff or for our Climate Action Plan team? Yeah, Jim, yeah. I was looking at Mike and
Any update on renewable arrangement?
Sure, good question. Thanks for asking that. Because of breach by the previous supplier, Icon Energy, which does business as Source Power, they terminated and breached their contract to supply electricity under the Community Choice Aggregation Program. And as such, although I can't get into it in this setting and in any detail, as I have said publicly, we are looking at our options, and we believe it is very important that Brighton residents get what was committed to them. And so that's something we are going to work very hard to make sure happens. We're also going to work very hard to make sure that we can, as soon as possible, resume a community choice aggregation plan. While it was working, it worked incredibly well, and in fact insulated town residents from a significant increase in electricity costs. But as importantly, more importantly, and the real reason we established community choice aggregation was to be able to supply 100% renewable electricity at a cost that would be cheaper because we're buying in bulk. Councilmember Werner talks a lot about one of the primary functions of government is to be able to buy in bulk and provide services more efficiently and more cost effectively than we as individuals can. That was the whole idea behind CCA, buying renewable electricity in bulk. And so as soon as we can do that without jeopardizing any of our rights as they now stand, it's certainly my goal, and I think all four of my colleagues are going to be nodding their head because it's their goal too, of getting back where we can do CCA for the Brighton community again.
Got one more,
Sure.
which is a message from Melanie Warren. And she's interested. I know Chris got involved in this several years ago. I bet he knows what I'm going to say. There's some very marginal properties along the river. And I know my recollection is that the homeowner discovered to tear down a shack, if you want to call it that, required some type of a county arrangement for asbestos. So it's been years, and she did remind me, since she couldn't come tonight, to check in and just let you know we're still concerned. And welcome any thoughts you have. It's been many years.
When it looked like we were making some forward progress on this quite a number of years ago, unfortunately, the homeowner died. Then
Former,
the former
obviously,
homeowner. Then with the new property, the new owner was not as interested, but also found that the cost of remediation with asbestos made it prohibitively expensive. So I'd
We
like
have
to see
not
those gone
forgotten.
as well, Jim, but I don't have
Yeah.
any update on it.
We have not forgotten about it. We don't have any current update, but yes. And obviously, that's something that we would be working through our Public Works Department. But thank you for bringing it up. Well, if there are no further questions, I want to thank staff for being here tonight. I want to thank our residents who came out tonight. This video is going to be available on the town website very, very quickly. So I know I heard from some folks who weren't able to come tonight, but people will be able to see it on the website within the next couple days. On YouTube, right? Go to our YouTube channel. And as always, we welcome outreach from the community. The West Brighton Facebook page. I certainly learn about a lot of things and try to respond to West Brighton related issues on the web page, on the Facebook page rather. But we welcome input from the community. We want to, local government is the government closest to the people, and this is part of how we make sure we do that throughout the community. So unless any of our town staff or town board members have any further comments, thank you, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Have a great night.
Right.